Welcome to Code Walkthrough, where coding will be made easy. So in this video, we are going to have a quick hands-on with the Python programming. Why Python? So because Python is one of the fastest growing programming language. It has a wide reach and a wide use. It can be used anywhere. So let's see what is Python before diving deep into how we are going to program the Python. So Python is a powerful general purpose programming language. So Python is an interpreter language. Why? Because as we know that C++ is where it is two-step approach where the source code would be first compiled and a compiler would then produce an executable file. While in the case of Python is an interpreter language where one by one the compiler executes the code entirely and lists the possible errors. Thus, in the case of C or C++, while the compilation itself you will be thrown with warnings or error, where in the case of Python only when execute the code you will be getting the warnings or the error. So Python is an object-oriented programming language. Unlike C, where structural language, where only function will be implemented, functional procedural language we call it as, where in case of Python, we have the concepts of classes and objects, the strong concepts of object-oriented programming language, OOPS, will behind the Python. It forms the very backbone and it's a high level programming language in the sense very easy to read and write. It doesn't have much of programming syntax. Even a very beginner without much programming language, they would be able to write the Python code. So not only the programmers, even the people who need to automate their task, like you need to example, you have to read the email and send the replies, you have to automate the manual procedure which we keep on doing. Those type of tasks it be easily automated with the help of Python. It is a very strong basic need. Why this Python is not only used by programmers but widely by many people. So it is the world's fastest growing programming language. So this is the base behind the Python. Next, we'll see where Python is basically used. So Python is used everywhere, starting from it is widely used in artificial intelligence, data analytics, and visualization, and DevOps. In the case of automation, many web apps, mobile apps, and machine learning, software testing, scripting. So these are some of the fields where Python is basically used. So many of the Python is the foundation. Some of the world's popular websites like Dropbox and even the YouTube, via which you are seeing my video right now. So many standard libraries such as Flask, Pyramids are available. So easily the libraries are available. So you need not start the code from the scratch. You can easily integrate your library into a code and you can start your development. It's an open source where and it is free. The open source in the sense anywhere, any people they can contribute to this Python code. So you have a lot of libraries available, the frameworks are available where you can even a complex program you can start need not start from the scratch. You can use a library and you can do the coding just a minute without you knowing. So let's write our first program. So here I'm going to use both. I'm going to use in the window in Windows we can install the Python interpreter directly from the Microsoft shop, and I'm just using it. So what's my program? Anything I can type, right? So I'm going to say print in caps lock. Okay, print. This is my first program. That's it. Now you have written your first program. It's very simple, right? Yes. So now the comments. Whenever we write a code, we have to give some comments like what this actually look like, what we are going to do, so it will improve our readability. So in Python, how we are going to give comments? So comments we usually we give with a hash mark. Anything that is after comments would be ignored. So the Python interpreter it gradually ignores the text that is coming after the hash mark and up to the end of the line. For example, I have given us this is a comment. So then I'm going to declare a variable total sum. I'm going to assign a value of 5 to it, and then anything that comes after the hash mark, it will not be considered by the Python interpreter. It will be just ignored. So you can provide both the inline comment or multiple comments if you want to give. You can give. So this is how you write the comments in the Python. Next, keywords and identifiers. So what are keywords? So keywords are the reserved words in Pythons which you cannot use. You cannot use it for as an identifier or for any purpose. So let's see what are the keywords that is present in Python. So how we'll see? We'll just type help keywords. And that's it. It will print the list of keywords that is available, and this list will be keep on increasing as they might want to add some of the keywords, and this list will be increasing. Right now we have 33 reserved keywords in Python. Then it's an identifiers. What are these identifiers? The identifier is basically it's a name we are going to give it to a variable or for functions or to a class. So these were called it as an identifiers, and these identifiers are case sensitive in Python. So the keywords which I already told it cannot be used as an identifiers. And so what are these variables? So variables are basically the names that attach it to a particular object. For example, I told so variable is equal to 5. Some total sum is equal to 5. I'm going to assign. Now what is going to happen? That 5 is going to occupy some memory, and that memory is what it's going to be attached to this variable name. So when you're going to refer to a variable name, you're actually going to refer to that memory that the 5 is sitting. So there are two types of variables in Python. These are the local and the global variables. So how we define a variable in advance? So in Python we have to define a variable in advance. Its variable name is equal to variable value. So now see what are the difference between the local and global variables. So local variable is a variable which we actually define within a function. Local variable is some variable which actually define a function. Its visibility is within that function. Whereas in the case of global variable, we are going to declare the variable in a we're going to declare a variable ahead of the functions, and from the rest of the point from where the variable has been declared, it's going to have a visibility. So now I'm going to use a spider for running my code. So just see what happens. So here you can see, right, a check variable assign a value of 101. I'm going to print it value, right, good, its variable is 101. Then I'm going to call a function. So the def check visibility is a function which I'm going to declare. There what I'm going to do. So I'm going to check the variable is equal to quick overview of Python by code walkthrough. I'm going to modify the check variable name. I'm going to assign a string, and I'm going to print the value. So what we got, quick overview of Python by code walkthrough. It's got printed. Then I'm going to check again. I'm going to check whether the check variable is modified or not. I'm going to use a print of the check variable. So as you can see, I'm getting the 101, which is a value that has been defined previously ahead of this function. So why the variable I'm going to modify the same variable? Why it's not been modified? Because the variable here that we are referring, it is basically a global variable. It's basically a local variable. So if we want to declare that variable as a global variable, then what we have to do, we have to declare it as a global variable, and then when we modify the value, this value would now be assigned as a global variable. So as you can see, since I have declared that variable as a global variable, So now since it's been declared, now when I print the value or even after the function, the global variable is the one that has been modified. So that's the visibility we can bring. Even within the function we can bring the global visibility, and the global variable can be modified. So this is how we are going to write this function. So global variable. So that's all for today's. In the next upcoming sections, I'll be explaining about some in deep about how what are the operators that is present, and what are the string operations we can perform, and how the what are the different types of built-in data types available in Python, and this will be covered in my next video. So please keep an eye on this code walkthrough, and thank you for watching.